Out to Baltimore right now. I know he's been waiting for a while. It was good to see him yesterday. Cleveland Kate, we're going to get to you in a second, too, as well. Garrett Downing, who used to work for us at Newsnet 5, now works for Ravens.com. Again, it was a pleasure to see you yesterday. And it was kind of one of those feelings where I was going to say something in the middle of the game. I'm like, man, the Browns look pretty good here. And I didn't do it because I feared what was going to happen at the end. Your thoughts on yesterday's game?
Yeah, I thought in some ways it reminded me of a lot of the games that I watched in Cleveland and covered in Cleveland and when I was on the other side of this thing, where it was a game that looked like the Browns had won and felt like, from watching it from the Ravens' perspective, it felt like the Ravens had kind of missed opportunities. They kept punting the ball away. They had chances to score late in the game. Then they give up the 70-yard touchdown, and they have to keep punting the ball away and giving the Browns a chance. I mean, they punted the ball away with, 2 minutes left, 2:30 left in the game. And at that point, if the Browns get one first down, the game's probably over. Definitely, if they get 2 first downs, the game's over. So, I thought this was a game. When I look at the difference in this game, I think it was the margin of victory is so thin, and all it took was a couple of big plays. It was a big catch from Steve Smith. It was a blocked field goal, and that proves to be the difference. Ravens didn't make those plays last year. They did yesterday, and that was the difference yesterday.
Garrett, you've been around this team, and obviously you know the Browns, but being around the Ravens, what do you think makes them different from the other teams that they do come up with these big wins? Because you've been able to see some awesome football since you've left here and went there. What do you think is the difference in how they handle themselves in these situations?
I think it's a good question, Andre. I think that when I first got here, the thing what struck me right away was that there was a group of guys in this locker room who'd had success, and I think it's somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, is if you think you're good, if you think you're going to win, if you have that confidence, then that things start to happen, when you get in that hole. And I think the other thing, too, is they've got a quarterback in Joe Flacco who's never rattled. Steve Smith talked about that yesterday. He said, in the fourth quarter, one thing that was really calming for him is when he got in that huddle and Joe Flacco was in there, and he was just treating it like any other play on that final drive of the game. And so he doesn't get rattled. And I think that those are two of the big things. You have guys that have been there before and had a lot of success. So they're not caught off guard. They're not nervous in those situations. And then you've got a quarterback in Joe Flacco who is calm, cool, and collected no matter what the situation is. And I think that makes a big difference, and that's why they've had so much success with this group.
You know what? Dennis Pitta, obviously best friends with Flacco. Probably the last time we've seen him play football with another hip surgery probably on the horizon.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, we haven't got the official diagnosis yet. We're going to probably find that out here in a couple of hours, but it didn't look good. As soon as he went down, I said to somebody next to me, I said, that looks like his hip. You can tell, I think his face told the story. The severity of the injury, you can just look at his face and tell the story there. And so we'll see what it is, but I would be surprised at this point, right, if he's going to play this year, and then you'll see where it goes from there. If he's a young guy with a hip problem, and that's something, anybody who's had a shoulder injury, dislocated a shoulder, they tell you that once it pops out once, you're always at risk for it to happen again. And I think that's what we saw yesterday with Dennis Pitta's hip. And you hope this is a guy who's got a young family and just signed a big contract. It's really tough to see that happen to him.
Hey, Garrett Downing from Ravens.com. Last question for you, too. With everything that's gone on this past week for the Ravens, I think sometimes what gets lost, it was lost in the Penn State story. It was lost in the Ohio State story. It's lost in every story that kind of where everyone comes out and wants to talk about everything, is the ability for the guys that are a part of the collateral damage in these issues to overcome and to go out and get a win last week and get a win yesterday. Can you just talk about the guys that aren't directly involved in what's going on here? These guys have been able to go out and perform, and I think maybe the credit there goes to John Harbaugh.
Yeah, I think you're right, Andy. I think that there can be a uniting factor sometimes. You have all of this chaos swirling around you that the team and the players in the locker room, they can really bunker down and focus on what's in front of them, what's important to them, and try not to get caught up in everything else going around them. There's a lot of talk about that yesterday. And then I think the other part of that, too, is that once you're actually on the field playing in a game, you're not thinking about everything else. You're not thinking about the questions that you got throughout the week or the stories that you're reading or everything that's being said about you. You're just thinking about the play in front of you and trying to make those plays. And I think that that's what the Ravens, the football field has, to some extent, for some of these guys, has probably been like a bit of a safe haven where everything else is silence and they're just doing what they love. And I think that you're right in the sense that I think John Harbaugh gets a lot of credit for silencing in the locker room what's going on around these guys, and they've done a great job of being able to put that to the side and still have success.
Now, one question, quick. Did Steve Smith tell Joe Hayden to ice up after the game?
He might have. Dude, Steve Smith is a baller. He is a baller. When he came here, I didn't know exactly how much he had left, but this guy can play. He's fun to watch. He's fun to cover. He's been exactly what the Ravens hoped when they signed him this offseason.
Garrett, thank you very much. We'll read you at ravens.com, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Take
Thanks,
care,
Garrett.
buddy.
All right, thanks, guys. Good to talk.
Good seeing you, Mark. All right, let's go to Cleveland Kate, who's been standing by so nicely. Thank you, Cleveland Kate. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are
Good.
We're good.
Who are
you
blaming?
doing?
Who are you blaming for yesterday's? We're good. Who do you blame for yesterday's loss?
you? Know, I don't know that you can blame just one person. I hate agreeing with Fedor, but for me, my whole life football has been a game of inches, and these last 3 games have been about seconds. Yeah. We were 3 seconds, and Pittsburgh's able to kick a field goal. Yesterday, 4 seconds, and Baltimore's kicking a field goal. Even the game that we won, we did with 6 seconds on the clock. If the offense gets 1 first down at any point or runs the ball a little bit more instead of an incomplete pass, there's not enough time left for those last second field goal. You're forcing them to score a touchdown. You're forcing them, to be farther away from the end zone, and we're seconds away from 3-0.
Well, Cleveland Kate, as you go into the season, what did you think they would be today? The record. You know what I mean?
Today,
thought 1 and 2
I
would be
thought
great.
realistically 1 and 2.
Right.
But I didn't think the 1 would be
New Orleans.
the Saints. I actually thought the 1 would be the Baltimore game yesterday. I didn't think we could win in Pittsburgh, and I thought Baltimore was shaky enough that we could take them here, and so I thought we'd be 1 and 2. It's weird how your expectations change when you're within 2-3 points of winning 2 games. All of a sudden we could have been 3-0, but you never thought they'd be 3-0 at the bye.
No, I'm with you. I think I'm frustrated like everyone else, but I think when we get a couple days away from this, I'm hoping, guys, that we'll have a positive outlook towards the last 12 or 13 games of the season, because they have played better than the expectations. And Cleveland Kate's right. It is a seconds situation. You cut a couple seconds here or there, and we're sitting here talking playoffs and Super Bowl.
It's 3-0.
Right.
I mean, really, it's 2-3 plays in the first game. It's showing up for the first half against the Steelers. Just showing up.
Right.
That's all they need to do is show up in that first half against the Steelers. And yesterday, it's, holding your ground on a field goal, or making sure there's a good snap, or just one play where Joe Hayden might be on another side, or maybe it's a pass rush. All these things. It's just it's 1-2 plays away, and I think it just shows. A lot of the points yesterday, I was looking, I'm like, this is AFC North football, because someone looked at me and said in the first half, they're like, this is a boring game. I'm like, no, it's not. This is what it should be. It should be teams within 1 score of each other, and we're going to see who's going to falter at the end. And I think that's the way the AFC North should be. Kate?
Well, it's trestle ball. If you're a Buckeyes fan, it's trestle ball. Whoever has the ball last, you keep it close, and whoever has the ball last and scores last wins. But on the bright side, we're not talking about Johnny Manziel starting. None of this stuff has been Hoyer's fault. Nobody is, well, with the exception of your crazy friend Booms, nobody is calling for Johnny Manziel to start after the bye, and that's a conversation I thought was going to be the hot topic for the next 2 weeks, and I'm really glad that that's not our problem right now.
Kate, you have a crush on Booms. You know it. You can say it. You have a crush on him.
Stop.
I love Cleveland Kate, because she went at Chris. She went at Booms.
Goodbye. We
Love you.
Thank
We'll see you soon,
Goodbye.
Kate.
All right, let's go back to Chris Horn, who's in the newsroom. Hi, Chris. As we wind down the show, tell folks what they can do on social media.
You can keep giving us your thoughts and feelings and rants and hope, your joy, on Dogs on the Run, hashtag Dogs on the Run for Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. Keep hitting you guys up. We're here all week.
Anything
Through the bye
interesting?
week.
Anything interesting on Facebook or Twitter this morning that we weren't able to get to?
I may have missed some of this because Colleen makes me do other things too.
No, that's
But we went through some of the tweets,
tweets
after
have
the
been
game.
Yeah.
Our old buddy, angry Browns fan,
Yeah.
named Billy Cundiff the loser of the game. Not that
Pretty
Phil
short-sighted,
Dawson
if
would
you
have
ask me.
won the
Yeah,
game. I'm
very short-sighted.
not going to say that. There was,
There you
of
go.
course, some fun reaction to Johnny Manziel's catch that wasn't a catch. He drew
Sorry.
up his own play, apparently. I don't know if Eric's got that.
That was a great one. The Johnny Manziel fan.
Yes. I love that guy. I actually saw that guy. I was on the sidelines there taking pictures, and that guy had that face pretty much the entire game.
I think they let him tailgate. He didn't have the tailgating problem that some have had.
I don't think the
Yeah.
tailgating. We didn't even get into that.
Yeah, we
today.
didn't even talk
I don't
about
think tailgating was a problem.
Was there a
yesterday.
problem?
I didn't hear
I saw
anything.
something in the news earlier, but I think everyone I think
ask
that guy
Tubby
was
about
like,
that.
yeah, well, Tubby didn't go, remember, because of the weather.
All right, we're in overtime now. Thanks. We appreciate it.
Take care, Chris.
Chris, we'll see you next week. All right, let's just do this real quick. We got housekeeping stuff. Who's in the doghouse first?
The doghouse.
What? Oh, dude, man. Now you're in the
Orlando
Brown. You just hit him in the
You're
head.
Orlando Brown me. I should go after you.
Workman's comp, man.
Yeah.
What's your problem? Either you hit him in a...
Game. You guys totally were overtime. It's 8:31.
So we had a
cares?
good show.
Yeah.
The people enjoyed the show, right?
Delay of game though.
What
Sorry,
are you
I'm
gonna
the
delay
ref.
of
What are you gonna
game.
do? Go text the bone lady to see if you can look at her room right
You
now?
may have had a nice touchdown pass, but you're about a minute late.
So what? What's the difference? There are no rules on this
Right.
show. Have you learned anything in 2 years?
I'm the referee. I make the rules.
You're obviously
I'm the
not a
boss.
good one.
Sorry, I'm the boss. I make the rules. You're the referee. You just keep us going in the right direction.
Wait. Who's in your doghouse, Eric?
Yeah,
We'll
who's in
start
your dog?
there.
Hang on a second. We'll even give you the
The
open.
doghouse.
Do you guys know the theme? I mean, Billy Cundiff is in my doghouse. I mean,
just wanted to hear him
can we
say it.
trade a 5th-round pick for Phil Dawson, please?
Who's in your doghouse?
Eric, the referee's in my doghouse right now. Mike Pettin's in my doghouse. I don't think there's any question. But it's not going to be very hard for him to get out. I expect rookie coaches to lose 1 or 2 games a year. He lost his game. I can live with that. I love the fact that he manned up to it at the end of the game. Now, I don't want to see any more losses. That's it. You cut your teeth. I give you the opportunity to lose as a rookie coach. Bad calls, mistakes on personnel issues.
Yes.
This is the NFL. This isn't CYO. And I can live with that every once in a while. But, man, it's the NFL. And when your owner is Jimmy Haslam, not for long should just be written on the back of your everything that you walk, because you can't have too many games like that.
Yes. Can we have a doghouse big enough
The doghouse.
for the entire defense?
Sure.
If you have anything to do with defense, you're in the doghouse when it comes to me. Thank you guys seriously, all those guys, because even talking to Chris and everybody's been great. You just go through all the names on this team, Kirksey and Hayden. There are so many high picks and so much money and not getting sacks. I mean, the one thing about Pettin's defense in Buffalo last year, they led the league in sacks, but they did have problems stopping the run. Well, you got to give me one or the other. You can't give up 160 rushing and not get a sack. That happened yesterday, so I have the whole entire defense in the doghouse.
I hear what, Eric, the referee?
And this is just how the Browns have been the last 5 or 6 years. That end of the game, they were playing not to lose. They weren't playing to win. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, they had 3rd and 16. They don't get it. They punted away with 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If we were a high-powered offense, if we were a team that could consistently move the ball, they would have had to go for it, because they knew if they gave the Browns another shot on offense, they would have ran out the clock. But we couldn't do it. 3 and out. We punted the ball away, and we gave them an opportunity to kick the game-winning field goal.
And I thought you played pretty well in the third quarter, Mr. Wee.
He wakes up as a referee after playing a game yesterday.
Eric, nice
Hey,
job.
I wouldn't have got that field goal blocked. I would have made it.
I'll tell
my
Billy win that when we go to the locker room.
All right, Eric, thank you for your hard work today. And we wrap it up with this.
Final thoughts.
They're better than what the record says, but as our old Bill Parcells says, you are what your record says you are. They've given me 3 games of we've had fun, right?
Yes.
For 3 weeks, as a fan and watching, it's been better than what I thought, but that's still not good enough.
All right, here's my
Final
thought.
thoughts.
This team is on the edge of changing the way we think about football here in Northeast Ohio. They easily could be 3-0. They easily could be 0-3. What happens over the next 2 weeks, I think, are more important than yesterday's game. When they come back out against Tennessee, if we see the same stuff we've seen here against a team that I think that they
should play with.
They should be able to beat on the road as well. If we see the same things that we've been seeing over the last 3 weeks, and they don't make any adjustments and they don't make any changes to get better, especially on defense, then you know what? It is the same old story, and we can go back and rely on that.
point.
I believe at this point this team is heading in the right direction, and for the first time, I hope that they have patience in Berea, because I think things are going the right way. Yes, there are issues on this team, but for once, I think we can go into this thing going, I feel like the team is heading in the right direction.
Joe Hayden, cancel out all the other news, go back, all the noise, go back to being the player that earned that contract. Be the great player that you think that you are. Stop thinking and play football. It seems like he's thinking. He's got to go out and play.
All right, we're 6 minutes heavy. Thank you for watching Dogs on the Run again this week. We will be back next week, I believe.
We're having a
in
bye
the bye
show?
week. Yeah.
Whose idea was that, Eric?
Spastic Dave. Spastic Dave believes that we need to do
flag
shows on
him.
the line. I'm telling you, Spastic Dave has been all over me for the last year because we didn't do a show in the bye week last year.
What are we going to talk about?
We'll make up something, I'm sure. We'll talk about Spastic Dave for an hour and a half. Really looking forward about that. I'll throw a flag on myself because I may not have a job for saying that. Anyways, peace out. We'll see you later. Thanks for
See you
watching
guys.
Dogs on the Run.